Spring is in the air at Global Voice Broadcasting. Fresh new shows are hitting the airwaves every day. Shows about all the things that matter to you in your life. Music, fashion, celebs, and more. It's all here, and it's getting better every day. Only at Global Voice Broadcasting.
I highly recommend Ms. Hicks. Her books, her CDs are encouraging.
I bought her book, A Hill to Climb. She's a very inspirational speaker.
And I look forward to one day being able to work with her.
Your power lies within you. Let it loose.
Aspiration, inspiration, motivation, edification, determination. These are the keys of life success, brought to you by none other than award-winning author, motivational lecturer, business consultant, and much more, as she gets you aimed to your purpose. And now, ladies and gentlemen, young and elder, from Hollywood to the entire world, here is your host of Aim to Purpose, the radio show, Louise Hicks, along with her co-host, yours truly, Kennon Wesley Mason.
Hello, world. How's everybody today? Again, thank you all for joining us. I am Louise Hicks, your host of Aim to Purpose, the radio show.
And I am your co-host, Kennon Mason, and I want to say good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone listening and watching from around the world as we bring you another edition of Aim to Purpose, the radio show. And we have three special guests that will be joining us for a talk about ladies in leadership.
Yes, and these young ladies are very dynamic. They are from my community, by the way, and I'm really glad to have them here because they are from my hometown, Downey, California. Not my original hometown, because that's Shreveport, Louisiana, but my adopted hometown of Downey, California. And I happened to be at one of the events they were orchestrating as young women as leaders, and they really inspired me. But before we get there, we have to have our sports therapy, of course, and today we have Robert Snell in the studio, but Shamika Brown, who brings you community news and entertainment news, is not here with us today. So we're just going to move right in to our sports therapy.
Yes, it's going to be sports therapy with the one and only Robert Snell. What you got for us today, Robert?
Thanks, Ken.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Well, let's just cut to the chase. You know, big fallout from the weekend. Game 7, Western Conference semifinals. Houston Rockets 114, Los Angeles Clippers 100.
Yes.
And, you know, the big thing is this isn't the same old Clippers. You know, you have Donald Sterling's out, Steve Ballmer's in, and this is a guy that paid $1 billion for that franchise. And, you know, when you pay $1 billion for something, you're going to want a return on that investment. Yes. Now a lot of questions. You know, I saw a really interesting quote from Blake Griffin that when he said, when I became a Clipper, I was drafted as #1 pick, and everyone was like, oh, the Clipper curse. You know, there's this thing where Sean Livingston, Michael Okandy, you know, throughout history, all these great players that came into the NBA looking like they'd be surefire, you know, can't miss #1 picks, would get hurt, you know, and then never pan out. Well, sure enough, Blake Griffin back in 2009 was drafted #1 by the Clippers, broke his leg, didn't play that entire first season.
Right.
People are like, oh, here's the Clipper curse again. You know, Blake Griffin came out of Oklahoma looking like he was going to be the greatest player of NBA history, you know? And luckily for him, he broke his leg, but he worked really hard, stayed diligent, didn't believe in the curse, and he kind of proved it wrong. You know, he's been a success.
Yeah.
So, and he said that I proved that curse wrong, and now it's my turn to say, like, the whole the Clippers have never been to a conference championship.
That's right.
That's my next thing. You know, he's like, I broke the curse. Now I got to break the, you know, the championship curse.
Mm-hmm.
Well, can you do that with Doc Rivers as both the coach and the GM? Can you do that with Chris Paul as your leader? Can you do that with DeAndre Jordan, who can't make a free throw to save his life, as your center?
Yeah.
These are the questions moving forward for the Clippers, you know?
Yeah.
Doc Rivers said, when I got there, I looked at the roster and laughed because, you know, everyone was tied up in contracts that looked unmovable, and, you know, like they were stuck with it. Like that was the bed he was going to have to sleep in. But he proved that wrong. He's quickly transformed a lot of the make-up that roster. Yeah, their core is the same. It's been that Chris Paul, Blake Griffin, DeAndre Jordan core, but all the role players are pretty much completely different than when Doc got there. So now I fully expect that to kind of happen again. But here's the thing: will Ballmer give him that second chance? Because this is Doc's way. His son is a player on that team. Big Baby Davis was one of his key cogs from his championship run in Boston. These are all Doc Rivers guys. He's the coach, the GM. He is the jury and the executioner. This is his team. So they gave Doc that opportunity. He had a 3-1 semifinals lead and he blew it. So some people are going to want to point to Chris Paul as the guy that, while he's been a franchise player for two different people now and have never won a ring, and they say he has plenty of help around him, they're going to look for him as the man to blame. But I think the real guy is Doc Rivers that you have to look at, because when you're both the GM and the head coach, then you have way more power than a lot of people in the NBA or any sport will ever dream of.
That's right.
So
That's right.
He has to be the one going forward. And if you're going to do things like, for example, trade for your son, then you're going to have to really, be prepared that when it doesn't work, that you're going to have to, not saying it was Austin Rivers' fault at all, by the way.
No, not at all, by any means.
But I'm just saying, when you do those type of moves, then you have to be ready for then, to accept the, praise when you win and all the blame when you lose.
Yeah. Well, I don't think you usually see when these type of things happen in basketball specifically, when a team happens to lose, especially after a 3-1 deficit.
Especially when in that 3-1 lead, you're up 19 points going into the fourth quarter at home. At home.
I know.
What more can you ask for?
How can you lose?
Yeah,
right.
against a floundering Houston team.
Yeah.
That the craziest part is James Harden in that Game 6, going back a little bit to that Game 6 in LA, James Harden spent the entire 14 minutes and 30 seconds on the bench. This is a guy who was second. He was the runner-up for the MVP voting to Steph Curry this year, and he was on the bench for that 14-minute and 30-minute stretch, and it was Corey Brewer, who up until that point was most famous for getting blocked by the rim on a dunk attempt, and Josh Smith, who's was known as the franchise killer. He went to Atlanta, they traded him to Detroit, and then all of a sudden Atlanta became the number one team in the East. Detroit traded Josh Smith away, or cut him actually. He was cut by the Pistons, and then they went on a 7-game win streak,
Right.
So he was known for ruining franchises, and then he goes and he hits all those threes, and
he was the trump card.
He was. But
do you think that them losing the Game 6 when they were up like 19 points, do you think that just took everything out of the Clippers?
Yeah, going on the road to Game 7, especially the way they played in Game 1 and 2, they didn't have Chris Paul, if you remember. He was out with a sore hamstring. And even though they won Game 1 actually on the road, which was a huge surprise. And then Game 2, they ended up losing, but they controlled the game. And it looked like Houston wasn't going to have any answers. And they didn't appear interested in playing defense. They didn't really have an answer. And they didn't really have an answer ever. Like, even in Game 6, like I said, the Clippers were up by 19.
Right. I saw that game.
Yeah, exactly.
It was amazing.
So it was almost one of those games where you saw the final score, but you're still like, did they really lose that game? Like, you almost had to keep rubbing your eyes and checking your vision.
So is it a dream?
Exactly. Because even though the Clippers lost the series, it still feels like there's no one who I think really feels that Houston's like the better team.
No, not at all.
Exactly.
Not at all. So, being that they between Houston and San Antonio, I mean, San Antonio is obviously a much better team.
I think San Antonio is better than the Clippers.
Houston. Better, okay, that's fine too. Better than the Clippers.
If you want to go back that far,
no, that's fine. Yeah. That's fine. I just think the Clippers had no. They started to wear out. They started to become tired.
They were tired.
And
but then, okay, so you look at that, right? So you say talent's not the issue, right? They had the better team. So then, if they weren't motivated to play, or they didn't have the mental focus to close that game, well, that's coaching, right? But then if you say, oh, well, it's like a tired issue, they were putting too much pressure on the stars to play minutes, that's the GM, not giving a good enough bench to expel those stars.
Yeah.
But so who's the coach? Doc Rivers. Who's the GM?
Right,
Doc Rivers.
Loss of confidence, it seems like to me, after taking the wind out of them in the 6th game. And being up like that, and I saw both games, the 6th and the 7th, and it appeared to me they just had a loss of confidence in themselves.
Exactly. It was like, even though they were the better team, so that's why they were in the game, it almost seemed that they something in their minds was like something's going to go wrong here. Like,
Right.
like they almost like were waiting for themselves to lose.
Self-sabotage.
Exactly. That's what it felt like.
That's exactly
Self-sabotage.
That's what it looked like.
100%.
Well, what's next now?
Well, so that's what I'm getting to. So, Steve Ballmer obviously is the new owner, and right now the biggest decision on the table, because I don't think Doc Rivers is going to be fired.
No.
There's no way, actually. I'll say it 100% he's not fired.
No.
But he could have the GM role. I don't think it'll happen this year, but next year it could be announced. And it'll all be based on what they decide to do with DeAndre Jordan. For those of you who don't know, DeAndre Jordan is a Houston native, is a free agent.
Right.
And is the only offer the Clippers can, so for those of you who don't know, the Clippers can offer him a 5-year max deal, and the rest of the teams in the NBA can only offer him 4 years. Due to his bird rights, which gives the team that had you last a competitive advantage to resign you. Mm-hmm. Well, the significance is the NBA salary cap is increasing by $15 million this year. So every team in the league will have an extra $15 million to spend from whatever their roster was last year. And while like the Clippers were his team he most recently played for and can't offer him that extra year, California also has a sales tax, and there's talks that he doesn't like being the third fiddle, and talks that while Doc Rivers just wants him to be defense only and be a defensive MP, he may not like that as much and may want to be more of a star, and a place like his home state of Houston, Texas, or Dallas, Texas, or San Antonio, Texas, where there's 3 NBA franchises, all have no sales tax, and he is a Texas boy. So
he may move on. Huh?
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying
he could, but even if he were to move forward, wherever he goes, he would still have to practice his free throw.
Oh, I'm not saying he's going to become Shaquille O'Neal just because he gets a new start.
That's what I'm saying. He, no matter where he goes, he will not be the star until he perfects a free throw and at least perfects maybe a 10-foot jumper.
I was just going to say.
Maybe a hook shot, the old Kareem Abdul-Jabbar sky hook, something other than just what do they call his alley-oop? What do they call it?
Oh gosh,
I can't even think of what
Lob
they
City.
Lob City.
Lob City, yeah.
It cannot be Lob City.
Right.
He has to develop an offense other than just dunking on everyone.
Do you remember, this will take you back to about 2007, 2008, when the Lakers were in their heyday. And do you remember when Kobe went down for a little while and Andrew Bynum was able to carry the team?
Right.
And then that's what led to Andrew Bynum's and the Lakers' demise, is Bynum was like, I'm good enough to carry a team, so I want to be that guy. Mm-hmm. And he just mentally checked out after that.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. Let's just say, for example, like Chris Paul, or when Blake Griffin was hurt, DeAndre was getting like almost 20 and 20 a game, but that wasn't because of him. That wasn't like they threw the ball to him in the post and then it was like, he was making moves, like he was backing people down and like giving them shoulder shakes. Like he wasn't doing like, any like Akeem Olajuwon, Patrick Ewing, like Shaquille O'Neal. He's not making Tim Duncan. I'm saying he's not making post moves. He was just finishing plays. Like was like Blake Griffin wasn't there. So instead of me having to split 50% of the rebounds with Blake Griffin, I'm just getting all of it, I'm saying like the Clippers weren't going down and running set plays to DeAndre Jordan. Yeah. And I'm saying, can DeAndre Jordan be a guy where you can be like, I'm not saying the last bucket of game, but just any possession where you just go down to him and be like, hey, I'm going to throw you in the post. Everyone else, clear out, go beyond the three-point line, let this man work.
Yeah.
Do you think he can score like that? Because I don't.
Well, he can, but the thing is...
He's talented enough to, but is he skilled enough to?
Well, he can develop the skill to play. The people on the Clippers have to learn to multitask. To a certain degree.
They have a lot of one-trick ponies right now.
That's right. And so that
one-trick ponies, huh?
Yeah.
Well, you have an aging veteran
can't win
like
championships.
Yeah, you have a guy like Jamal Crawford or JJ Redick that can really only shoot
shooters.
Threes.
They're
exactly.
shooters, right.
You have a guy like Matt Barnes who can hit some set shots but can't create his own shot, and he can defend, but he's getting limited now in what he can do. And like for example, like Glenn Davis can really only give you energy off the bench.
Yeah.
I'm saying they have a lot of guys that can only fill one of your needs.
Oh, yeah.
And the more dynamic teams like the Spurs, even though they lost to the Clippers, or you look at especially the Warriors are the best example of this.
Yeah.
These are guys that you can plug in and ask multiple things of, and they'll be able to perform it. And that's the thing. Like, you can ask guys to do it, but if they can't do it, then it's going to show. And that's what happened with the Clippers. Like Chris Paul is really the only complete player, I'd say, on that.
Yes.
Blake is getting there. He's getting better.
He is getting there.
He's actually really impressed me.
He's improved this year. I think before we wrap up and go to our break, I think that in order, the Clippers have gotten farther than they have, even though it's only the semifinals, but they've gotten farther in the semifinals than they have in previous years.
But even though they've gotten farther from the semifinals, just to sum it up real quick, I think they're almost further from their goal, because now they've had 4 years to make this work, right? And it hasn't. So now with this DeAndre Jordan decision, this is going to be the turning point of their franchise, or for the next few years. It'll be, do we bring him back and pay him the max player? Because if you give him that money, you're going to need him to evolve, and you're going to need to get a maximum return on it.
That's right.
That's the issue.
That's right.
So, like, do you want to invest in 2 or 3 guys and see what that does, or do you want just to put all your eggs in DeAndre Jordan's basket? Because then you're going forward with that same core you have. Like, if you pay DeAndre, then you're saying that Blake, DeAndre and Chris Paul can get the job done. But so far they haven't showed they can. So that's the question.
Well, we'll see what next year brings.
We will,
Anything
definitely.
else for us with the sports therapy?
Just quickly, in the NHL, the Ducks won their first round game over the Chicago Blackhawks. A lot of people are picking the Blackhawks in that series, but I think the number 1 seeded Ducks will finally get the job done and get to. I'm not saying they'll win it all, because the New York Rangers may be a team of destiny, but at least to get out of the West and get past Patrick Kane, that'd be impressive. So
there you
we'll
go.
See.
Well, and that is it for sport. Or is there anything else that you?
I think that'll cover.
That's all. All right.
That's it for sports therapy.
Yes.
Thanks, Rob.
And with that, we're going to take our first break, and we will be coming back with our 3 guests: Alejandra Lopez, Sofia Ramos, and Crystal Letona.
And we're going to talk about young women as leaders. And these are dynamic high school students, and 2 are about to go to college. So we're going to take a break, and we're going to be right back, and we're going to talk leadership from women.
Yes. We'll be right back. Don't you go nowhere.
This edition of Aim to Purpose, the radio show, is brought to you by L. Hicks Consulting Services. When you want the best in business coaching, life coaching, or perhaps your organization, business, or company is in need of a dynamic speaker for an upcoming workshop or seminar, contact Louise Hicks for L. Hicks Consulting Services at 1-562-310-1495. From anywhere around the world, that's 1-562-310-1495. For more information about Louise Hicks and her consulting services, visit her website at www.louisehicks.biz. Again, that's www.louisehicks.biz. Or call 1-562-310-1495. L. Hicks Consulting Services, where professionalism is top priority.
We are back. And again, I'm Louise Hicks, your host of Aim to Purpose, the radio show. And we're about to welcome our in-studio guest today. And we have these dynamic young women of Downey, California, my hometown and their hometown. And that's why I brought them in. I wanted to share a little bit of Downey today. And we're going to tell you a little bit about them first.
Yes. Crystal, let's start. 2, we have our seniors, and 1 is a junior. Crystal Letona not only is the president of Ladies Leadership Club, but she's also involved in her high school cheerleading team, various clubs on campus, and the local church. She has recently committed to Syracuse University for her undergraduate studies in political science and is excited to see what her future holds in store for her. Sofia Ramos, also attending Warren High School as a senior, is involved with student government, CSF, and Skills USA. Outside of school, she is involved with the Assistance League, the Riordan Program, and the Young Legislators Program. She is Ladies Leadership Club's vice president, as well as the co-founder of the organization. Crystal and Sofia are co-founders or co-founded the club after attending the Running Start Conference their sophomore year and have grown immensely, hosting their own conference called Future Leaders of Downey this past January. Sofia will be attending UCLA this coming fall to pursue a degree in political science. Alejandra Lopez is currently a junior at Warren High School, motivated by a political conference expressing the importance of young women in politics. She has been inspired to expand ladies' leadership as she becomes president next year. She looks forward to include as many young women as possible to spread the true meaning of feminism and gender equality. So, let's give a warm, aimed at purpose welcome to our three special guests, Crystal Letona, Alejandra Lopez, and Sofia Ramos.
Yay, welcome, ladies, and look at them how they're beaming. They're representing Downey well, and look at them with their t-shirts on, ladies leadership.
That's right.
Love it, love it, love it. And they are from, as we said, Warren High School in Downey. There are two high schools in Downey. One is Downey High and the other one is Warren. My daughter went to Downey High, but she graduated in 2007.
Oh, they don't like that. They don't like that.
They said, don't come in here mentioning Downey now. Just stick to Warren.
The rivals. The rivals.
Oh, yeah, the rivals.
But that's high school spirit, though.
Yes, it is.
You know, that's high school spirit.
All in the spirit of going to school. And we have two seniors and one junior that's going to be a senior. So we are really happy to have you ladies, and let me share a little bit about how I met them. We have the local newspaper, the Downey Patriot, and I happened to be reading it, and I saw in here, I think it was in January, was it, ladies? In January. And I said, I think I'm going to go up here and check it out and see what they're talking about and what they're doing. So I went up, and they were so impressive and so inspiring. And I went up and spoke with them afterward, and I shared with them. We have a radio show, and would you ladies like to come on? Because we need young people to inspire other young people. And we know that they are, and the program was really great. They had several speakers, including the Congresswoman there, right?
Christine Garcia.
Right, Christine Garcia from for the area of Downey. She's our representative, and they had a UCLA, was it UCLA or
USC?
USC. Let me get that right. You're going to UCLA.
Yeah.
Right. USC, and they had a couple of activists there, and it was a great program they had, and I really was so inspired, and I asked them would they like to come on the show, and got permission from their mothers, since they're all young'uns. You know, we got to get permission here, and from their parents, I should say, mothers and fathers. And welcome, ladies, because we really want you to share with other young people about your journey and how you got inspired to be where you are today and to start this. And I read in your bios where you had gone to some type of conference, and going to that conference really is what inspired you to start this program. It was called the Running Start Conference. So share a little bit about that in your journey. Why did you go to the conference? How did you get there? Who wants to start first here?
I'll start. Well, me and Sofia attended the Running Start Conference our sophomore year.
Yeah.
And we didn't think anything of it, like not much of it, because our teachers told us to go. So we went.
It was like a Saturday for like 6 hours.
Yeah,
I guess I'll
like
go.
Free food, why not? We'll
Right.
go.
So Sophia and Crystal went, right?
Yes.
Alejandro didn't get to go to that one, huh?
I didn't. That year I did not.
Okay.
So we went, and they had really impressive speakers, really influential, and we just took a lot from it, and we decided why not start a club at Warren High School, like a women empowerment club.
Yeah, but like just the way that we felt after, like we just wanted to like get stuff going, and just I don't know, seeing the much of like energy that was there at the program, like we wanted to bring a little bit of that back to Downey, and so it actually went through.
And I'm telling you, they brought it back. Believe me. Are you listening to them and hear how they're expressing themselves? They went and they brought it back to Downey, and making Downey proud now, Downey, California. So that's great. You guys really learned a lot. You said it was a lot of energy there, and that made you decide that you wanted to start your leadership.
Yeah, definitely. So, personally, like, when I thought of, like, politics, like, I never even thought nothing of it. Like, I thought of, like, men in suits and just men. Like, but when I actually saw, like, the amount of women that were there, the amount of people that were actually willing to support these women, like, that's, like, when I saw, like, it's embarrassing kind of, like, the ratio of, like, men to women in politics. And I just thought, like, that's not right, like, especially being in the 21st century, like, we should be past this already. So just seeing, like, that difference, like, I think Crystal and I, we saw that, and we were like, well, we need to bring this back, and we did, and just the different people that we saw in the activities, like, we did the napkin thing that we did at our own conference, because we saw it, so it's something that you write out, like, things that you want to do, like, when you're in the future, like, what you want to be, and so we brought that back, like, little pieces of that, stuff like that.
That's great. That's great.
Exciting.
Now, Sophia, you're going to be attending UCLA.
Yes.
In the fall semester. Yeah. What made you decide to choose UCLA?
Okay, so it was just a long process of, like, people do not tell you how hard it is. They say it's hard, but not how hard.
Yeah.
So I had been going in April, like, to different universities in the East Coast, and I visited NYU and Georgetown and UCLA, where those were, like, and Tufts University, they were, like, my top choices, and just, I decided, like, being in California, like, that's where I want to stay, like, being involved in not only, like, in politics, but in California politics, like, that's what concerns me the most.
You want to stay home.
I want to stay home, and, like, yeah, I just want to be with support, not organization, sorry, I'm so nervous, support, things that are happening here in my state, where, like, I know what's going on, like, be up there and, like, I know, like, about the drought or different things that are going on here, and eventually, like, work my way up.
Well, help us out with that drought now, so that we won't get taxed and fined for not, watering your grass, and then your grass goes brown, and then you might get fined for your grass going brown, so who knows. And Crystal, you decided to go to Syracuse, right?
Yes.
So where's Syracuse, first of all? Because we have a global audience around the world. Now, we know UCLA is in California. We've already made that decision and determined that. But where's Syracuse?
Syracuse University is in upstate New York.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It's really cold.
Well, it's different from home. Huh?
I just wanted to get out of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
And when I visited the campus, it was beautiful, and I immediately fell in love. So.
Are you going to go in all that snow?
Yes, I'm already getting rain boots, snow boots. I'm preparing.
You're getting prepared. and you know what? It's good to have that change of environment, change of pace. You just get a different sense of what else is out there versus, I mean, nothing against UCLA. I mean, that's a prestigious university that is world renowned. But to go to another well-renowned Syracuse University and just getting a different perspective on how people live on the other side of the country, you'll get that full effect of meeting a different kind of people from New York or from other parts of the country. You have other people that come internationally to go to those type of universities.
Yeah, and some of the New Yorkers probably will be coming to UCLA now.
Right.
Alejandra, don't think we're leaving you out, because we know you're going to be going to Warren, right?
Yeah.
But what you're going to do is expand ladies' leadership.
Of course.
So what are you going to do to expand your, since you're going to become the president? Who's the vice president now?
Right now, I'm the current vice president.
Okay.
But we don't know who it is for the next one. That's why our elections are going on.
Okay,
Yeah.
but are you going to be the president?
Yes.
Then? Okay, so we know who the president is.
Yes.
So what are some of your goals?
Well, ladies leadership is we're kind of a new club on campus, so we're barely getting like out there, but I feel like now we're more like we have more of a voice, so people now like know like, okay, like there's this lady leadership club, like what's it about? I think what really gets us noticed is like our pink shirts.
Yes.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. So like people, like I have people coming up to me like, hey, like what's your club about? Like how do I join? Like what's like gonna benefit with me? And like I think it's really important to also get guys involved, because it not only like feminism isn't just about like putting women on top of other like men. Like it's about gender equality. Like everybody should like be equal.
Everybody on the same playing field.
Yes.
Yes, and that is so true. And it's good you have some good goals. You're going to be ladies leadership. What are these guys going to say about that now? Are they going to be, you're going to have them as members, or how is that going to work?
Yeah, we actually have like 7 guy members right now.
Oh, you already have guy members.
Yeah.
And are they going around with their chest out? Yeah, I'm a member of ladies leadership here.
So what we try to say is not just like, because everyone thinks like ladies leadership, oh, you guys like are discriminating against men, but that's not the point. Like in actuality, like feminism isn't about bringing man down and woman up. It's actually about like bringing us to the same place and helping each other. Like even if you're a man, even if you're a woman, helping each other out, because in the end we're all humans. So.
That's right.
Girl,
That's right.
you said it, young lady.
Right.
You said it. Because that is what it's all about. And you young ladies really have a good handle on what your goals are and where you're going in life. 2 of you that's going off to school, you want to be in politics, right?
Yes.
Sophia and Crystal. And why did you choose politics of all careers?
I think probably because of ladies leadership and because of the Running Start program. Like
definitely the Running Start program influenced me a lot. Like I had no idea what I wanted to do my sophomore year. So going to the conference, I was just like, I want to do this. Like I saw all these like amazing ladies, and I was like, I want to do what you guys are doing, helping everyone, helping locally, helping globally. I was like, I want to do that.
And where was this conference? Where was it held? Was it here in California?
Yeah, it was at USC.
Oh,
At
okay,
USC.
at USC. That's great. That's great. Go
I
ahead, Ken.
I have a question for any of you can answer, or all of you can answer. Being that you're going into political science or the science of politics, what are the most important issues or challenges, whether it be local, state, or national? What are the issues? What's at the top of your list that you would want to change, being that you're going to be at that leadership status? What would be first on your list?
Well, to me, education.
Okay.
Because I don't know, growing up I just didn't really know what was important or like what I was supposed to like aim towards. And even in high school I didn't know that the SAT was important.
Right.
And just like stuff like that, I just want there to be more like education about what is needed to go to college in high schools, because I feel like our high school didn't really tell us much. Like I don't know, I didn't feel like I got that much help. It was kind of like going on my own, especially because like my mom didn't go to college. And I was just like steering my own way.
You felt you weren't prepared?
Yeah.
Is that what it was?
Definitely.
Lack of preparation.
Yes.
Right.
And I'm glad Ken asked that question, because that is a good question. The other ladies want to, Sophia and Alejandra, you guys want to hone in on that one?
Education one?
Yeah. Well, in going on to with what she said, like I think not only like not necessarily like academically preparing, like because I think like they did a good job on that, but mostly like on what's next, like the next chapter in your life, like even from like things of like money, like how am I supposed to pay, like I'm still 17, like, and you're expecting me to take on this debt, like my parents like, oh, like you're not, that's not something that you're expecting. Like they say, oh, it's a lot of money, but I don't think in our minds like we can kind of like see like what is a lot of money. And like,
and going to UCLA is not inexpensive.
And Syracuse
and Syracuse
and
either.
anywhere.
I know, it could be any college. It's debt to pay.
And
That's right.
when, what about, I know you're not going to college this year, Alejandra, but do you feel you're being prepared? You're going into your senior year, so what are your expectations of your senior year?
Well, I would like to be prepared for college. You know, I'd like to know how to really like move on with my life and really just be prepared. I mean, I totally agree with what they're saying. I feel like if like education nowadays, they're focusing more on like the academic stuff, like teaching you how to do this, this, and this. like how to graph a parabola in math or something, and they're not teaching you like what are you going to do next, like how are you going to take on this, like a life lesson, like how are you going to keep on moving on.
And that's a major problem with the educational system. I don't know whether you ladies know or not, but in America we rank to the bottom just about in the educational system. We are the richest nation in the world. However, educationally, we rank almost 40. We may be 40. The last I checked, we were like 37 or 38 of the civilized world. And that is sad. That's sad news.
Yeah.
And do you think the educational system is really preparing you? What if you're coming out of school now, unlike Sophia and Crystal, who are going on to college, but what about people that are getting married and having families? And some kids we know already have a family. Are they prepared? Do they know what a credit report is? Do they know what a FICO score is?
I don't even know what that is.
See that?
See, and you're in school.
Proof
and you're
positive.
coming out of school. Now, how are we expecting our children to facilitate themselves through the world and through life when they're coming out of school, high school, and some are getting married, have families already?
Yep.
So, and we wonder why we're in such crisis here in America. And the root of it all is the educational system. If you're not getting it at home, you're going to come out of school and you're going to get married, or you're going to go off to college. And like you said, you're going to you have this debt, provided your parents can afford to send you to college. So what are your thoughts on that in terms of what you're being taught in school?
Well, I think, like I said, like, of course, like, we have to have, like, obviously, even if it's just, like, parabolas, like you said, like, that's, like, obviously, like, everyone needs to know that, like, because that's the basis, like, yeah, because that opens up opportunities, like, whether you want to go into engineering or, like, computers or political science with your literature classes or different stuff like that, like, but I think the actual, like, reality, like, once you're out of high school, like, once you aren't in your parents' homes, and, like, and some people, like, maybe they go off to college, like you said, or some people, like, stay home. I just don't think, it's hard to, I think it's a really difficult task to actually be able to develop a system where kids will be prepared for that. But I think, like, just maybe implementing more things that are more, like, attainable, that you can actually, like, do, like fill out those forms that I don't even remember what the name is.
Right.
Yeah, I think that it is important that we learn not only things of math and English, the standard, or what they call general education, versus teaching students, especially high school seniors, the ways of finance, how to not only accumulate money or wealth, but how to keep it, versus spending it on frivolous things that you don't need, learning how to live below your means for a while and still move on with your whatever your endeavors are, saving what you can. That way when you leave out of college, you can have that financial backing, so you can move forward, get the home or apartment that you desire, and also lead you into your career, whether it be in running for local office or whatever the endeavors are, since you're all going into you're going into political science as well?
Likely, yes.
Okay. So it's definitely something that's not being taught in the educational system, because again, in college you're paying massive amounts of money to go and get higher education, but then you're stressed to high heaven because you got to pay it back at some point.
Oh yes.
Oh
yes, and that can be stressful, knowing you have to pay it back and wondering, am I going to get a job to pay it back?
Yeah.
And that leads us to just over broke. I don't know whether any of you have read the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Has anyone read that book?
I haven't read, but I heard about it.
Okay, Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. And my thought is, I feel the education, and I'm so happy to see ladies' leadership that's why you ladies inspired me so much, because you're going into politics and you can make a difference in the educational system, because it really starts with knowledge and acting with that knowledge. And Robert Kiyosaki has written a world-renowned book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, where he helps us to understand that you got to start training and teaching your children from infancy, really, so that they can be financially able to take care of themselves, because everything is money driven. You know that, right? It's all about the dollar. Everything on the planet is money driven. You got to have money to do everything you do. So if you don't have money, you're going to be lost out here. And we're getting to like a class system, rich and poor. The middle class is drying up, and we have a video clip we want to share. And we're going to play, it's about 5 minutes, but we're going to play this entire clip because it's Robert Kiyosaki being interviewed by the Time magazine, and it's vital to what we're talking about and you ladies being in leadership roles. So let's roll the clip.
Hi, I'm Matt Ketman with Time magazine. I'm here today with Robert Kiyosaki. He is the best-selling author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, which has been translated into more than 50 languages and is the #1 personal finance book in the history of the world. Thank you for joining us today, Robert.
Thank you.
What happened?
This question comes to us from AJ Gupta from Grays Lake. Hi, I'm Matt Ketman with Time magazine. I'm here today with Robert Kiyosaki.
Oh, there we go.
He is the best-selling author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, which has been translated into more than 50 languages and is the #1 personal finance book in the history of the world. Thank you for joining us today, Robert.
Thank you.
This question comes to us from AJ Gupta from Grays Lake, Illinois. If you did not have the rich dad in your life, what would you be doing today?
It's hard to say if I didn't have my rich dad, because as a young kid, starting at probably about the age of 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, I really wanted to be rich. So I think #1 is desire, and then you naturally seek your role models and teachers. And in my lifetime, I've had multiple rich dads. My rich dad was my best friend's father starting at the age of 9. And then today, I still seek mentors and wise men and wise women, because that's how you get wiser, is by hanging out with smart people.
And this one comes to us from Lagos, Nigeria. What made you write Conspiracy of the Rich?
It goes back to, why don't we have financial education in our schools? I mean, good question, right?
Right.
And how come the tax laws are different for different people? There's 4 things that make the most, 90% of the people poor. #1 is taxes. 2 is debt, the college loans, house loans, car payments, credit cards. 3 is inflation. Everything goes up because taxes go up. It's not because things are more expensive. It's taxes. If I have to pay more taxes, I have to pass that on. And the 4th thing that makes people poor is a retirement plan, that 401k or the IRA or their SIP. I don't need a retirement plan because all of my assets produce income. So like I have 1,400 apartments. Every month I get a check. Why do I need a retirement plan? I have 8 oil wells. Every month I get a check.
Are there some people who should play it safe and do the traditional route and just pick up a house, pay the mortgage?
That's probably the most dangerous thing you can do today. What's happening in the Western world, in America, we're going to become a third world nation, rich and poor. That's it. The middle class is being wiped out. So the people in the middle, whoever's left in there, will be the ones paying the taxes, the debt, the inflation. The middle class is they're the pack mule.
Is there any way a government can help this, or is it really based on the individual to come up?
You have to decide which side of the fence you're on, rich or poor. Make up your mind.
Yeah.
Make up your mind. I made up my mind. It's rich dad, poor dad. I want to listen to my old man, PhD. The government will take care of me. You save your money. And as you're saving your money, the Federal Reserve is printing trillions of dollars. How stupid can you be? And invest your money for the long term in a well-diversified portfolio of mutual funds, send it straight to Wall Street so that they can pay their brokers $10 million a year bonuses. How stupid does a person have to be? Wake up.
Do they teach you that in college-level economics or no?
Hell no. Are you kidding me? Absolutely not.
By design.
If you read Conspiracy of the Rich, 1903, John D. Rockefeller took over the financial education system by creating the General Education Board. And since then, the rich have controlled what is taught at schools.
This question comes to us from Tokyo. Jay Sienna asks, you always say that your poor dad forbade everyone to talk about money at the dinner table. Did you ever ask him why? And at your dinner table now, are people allowed to talk about money?
That's all I talk about is about money. Tell me something money does not affect. Does money affect education? Absolutely. If you have money, you can go to the best schools. Look at George Bush.
Right. This one comes from Laredo, Texas, from Steven San Ramon. When you and your wife were living out of your car, how did you remain so confident that you would be able to accumulate enough wealth to not only retire rich, but young as well?
Well, confidence comes from discipline and training. I think one of the best things that happened for me was I kept flunking out of school. And I realized it wasn't school that was a problem, it was a lack of discipline. And so that's one of the reasons that I went to military school. The military trains you that there's 4 strengths. There's mental strength, emotional strength, physical strength, and spiritual strength. So that's what kind of kept me going.
Is there a time to bail out on a project, though? I mean, when...
I don't that's not in my vocabulary.
Yeah.
Look, I have an unfair advantage, you know. I went to war. And at war, I'm alive because other guys died for me. When you see stuff like that, you know, how can I quit? Most guys are just wimps, pussies, cowards. They don't have it. So they should get a job.
Muhammad Zafar asks, is it possible for a person with no money and few resources to still make a fortune? How?
Get off your butt. You have to get smart. You have to look for teachers. I mean, it's pretty obvious. Like I said, you know, if you want to be a mechanic, you go hang out with mechanics. You know, you want to be a school teacher, hang out with school teachers.
Right.
Right? It's really simple. I mean, and it takes determination, discipline, drive, correction. Can't quit.
All right. So
I like it. If you want to be in politics, you have to be around people that are in the political realm.
That's right.
You know, if you want to be in sports, you have to be around people that are into sports. I mean, and that kind of energy rubs off on you, and it makes you more aware of certain issues and topics that are important to you, and then you translate it to the people to get them on board, which is the most important thing in politics, is getting the people on board. You know, you bring in people along to help make that change with you, because you can't do it by yourself. You know,
No.
That's why you're all of you ladies are leaders. You're doing it together, the 3 of you, but it takes more than just the 3 of you to make things happen, whether it's in Downey, whether it's in Los Angeles, whether it's in New York, whether it's anywhere else around the world. It takes a multitude of people to make things happen, but it starts with you, because you're the leaders, and politics can make or break certain ways of how we see life, you know. So I think it's a great thing. What is leadership to you? What is your definition of leadership? Any one of you?
I think.
Well,
That's not a trick question.
Because you're all leaders, so we know you know how to lead.
well, to me, leadership is not commanding people to do things, but it's actually like taking them along the road with you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just telling them, okay, hey, Crystal, do this. Like, no, it's like, okay, Crystal, let's go do this, and we're gonna do this together. Like, I'll help you if you need any help, but that's like it. Like, you can, like, it's giving people a chance to be independent,
Mm-hmm.
but helping them with in any way. Like, if they need any help, then you'd help them.
That's right.
Like guiding the way.
Yeah,
That's right.
That is
Being that
absolutely
guiding light.
Guiding.
And like how you're saying, like in politics, like it all is about like community, because you don't get anything done without the help of other people and like people who are interested in getting things done.
Right.
Like if you want this bill to get passed, like you need people that are like willing to put their time and efforts in it, and like those like lobbyists that they call, like those are leaders, like because they want something to get done. And like Robert said, like if you want to get something done, like you need to do it. Like you need to have discipline, and you need to have that confidence to do that.
Yeah, confidence is key. If you don't have the confidence, the people that you're campaigning to won't have that confidence with you.
Exactly.
You know, it's a domino effect,
right.
and it all starts again with you. or whomever is in the political field, because people look to their political leaders to make change. And we know how slicey and dicey politics can be, but at the same token, you can be those leaders that can make a difference. No matter how big or small, any difference is a good difference. You know. So I'm glad that all of you have taken your time, because in high school you could be doing anything right now. You know.
But you're beautiful with your pink shirts on. Ladies leadership. I love it.
Yeah, you can be doing anything with your peers or the other people that you see around campus that may be going off, you know, doing whateverville, you know. You have taken it upon yourself to get into something that is that's more cause. Yeah, it's a worthy cause. Some people may you know, foo-foo it, especially your peers, because that's something that they're just clueless on, some of them, or they don't care, or they have better things to do.
Or they haven't come into the awareness or the knowledge or understanding yet, because that does happen until
it takes time.
Acquire the wisdom and understanding. And I have to commend you, young ladies, on your wisdom that you have acquired. And everybody hasn't attended this, what did you call the conference you guys?
Running Start.
Right. Everybody hasn't attended that conference. And with you ladies going to that conference, Running Start conference, it really gave you confidence and it gave you courage to move forward with your life. And I can tell that by the way you express yourself at the event that I went to in January, your ladies leadership, and that was your first conference. And I really have to commend you on it, because it was your first. And you made Downey proud, because I'm saying these are young high school students, 17 years. Well, is everybody still 17?
Yeah, we're all 17.
Yeah, still you're 17, and look what you're doing. You're leading the way, and that's a good thing. And you've heard of Robert Kiyosaki. And now you're going to run out and get that book, right? Rich Dad, Poor Dad, because I'm sure you want to be in the rich. Now, there's another gentleman I'd like to mention, because with you going into politics, we really need politicians to have a better understanding of the 21st century. And I'm sure you will be in politics, of course, in the 21st century, since we are only, in 2015 now. And I've lived through the 20th century part of it, not all of it. I'm not that old yet. But I did live through part of the 20th century, and it was rough. I mean, and just think, we're in the 21st century, and it's still rough for the masses. And we heard about the John D. Rockefeller, who started this financial General Board of Education. And, of course, he's creating something to help more of the rich, because we are losing the middle class here, and you're going to either be poor or rich unless we make some adjustments here and realign ourselves to be more aware of what's going on in this country and the world, for that matter, because we, with mass media now, we are the world. And that's true. We are the world, because we are global. We have people watching this show now we've had South Africa, Brazil, Canada, the UK, all over. And we are all connected. So I'm really proud of you young ladies. And what advice would you give the students now that you're leaving behind? And I know you're still going to be there, Alejandra, but Crystal and Sophia, what advice would you give to Alejandra and the students that you're leaving now to help them to better themselves and be more prepared for college?
I think, like,
or life, for that matter.
That's like a big task, like, give them advice. But I think, like, overall, like you said, like, there are people who don't care about it or who don't know about it. And I think, like, even we are on some, like, subjects, like, we don't know much about. But I think that's, like, the whole thing about ladies leadership, like, getting involved and actually, like, educating yourself on, like, on what's going to affect you in the future. Like, from everything from, like, the drought that's, like, affecting us, or to the education system. Like,
Right.
And just getting that out to like people in our school, not only in our school but in our city. Hopefully, like people like catch on. Like you need to get more educated on this stuff so you're more prepared for it in the future.
Right.
And I think just opening your eyes and not being afraid to like go outside of like your comfort zone and knowing what the bigger world is about.
Yeah.
Yes. It's definitely all a learning process. So
absolutely.
My advice is just try to like dip your feet into different things and try to find what you like. And because it happened to us randomly, we didn't like come into high school saying we're going to be politicians, we're going to do political science. It happened out of the blue. Like we didn't know it was going to happen. So definitely just volunteer for different activities. Join clubs, join sports, just try to find something you're going to be passionate about, and it will definitely guide your way.
There you go.
Yes,
and we still don't even know, like, what if, like, I was saying, what if you turn out being doctors, and, like,
you really
like,
don't.
You never
That's right.
know, like, it's too,
That's
like,
right.
it's too, like, early to say, oh, this is what you're
That's
going
right.
to be, but if you never, like, say, like, dip your feet in different waters, you'll never know, like, the different opportunities that you passed up. Or,
That's right.
You won't know because
That's
we
right.
really live in the moment, and you don't
Right.
know because when I was 12 years old, growing up in Shreveport, Louisiana, I'm sitting on my grandmother's front porch, and I'm envisioning I'm going to be a best-selling author. I am an author, best-selling, award-winning author at that. And I mean, doing what I'm doing now, I didn't know I'd be doing this. I never knew I'd have a son that would be diagnosed with cancer and heading up a grassroots campaign now to help the mentally ill, because he became mentally ill as a result of the cancer at 14, depressed, drug addiction. And now I just got a call from the city of Downey, not the city of Downey, I should say the mental health department, and met with the police department. And I'm going to be working with them on this homelessness program that they're starting up for the mentally ill in Downey. So you really don't know where life is going to take you. You just have to take it as he said. And I know you were talking, I think it was Sofia that said about the debt and going to college, and Robert spoke about all that, taxes, debt, inflation, retirement plans. I mean, that will keep the masses in a struggle, and we have to realize that we got to move ourselves forward. And your advice now, I'm not going to leave Alejandra, I'm sorry, get your name, Alejandra left out. I don't want to leave you out. So what advice do you have, being a ladies, although you're going to be left at school, for the students there, because you will be there with them.
The future president.
Right. What advice do you have?
She's also captain of the cheerleading team.
Oh,
Hey!
captain of the cheerleading team.
Hey!
Wow. So you are a true leader. So give the students some advice that's still in high school and coming up now to be getting ready for college and so forth, whether they be junior, sophomore, freshman, or senior.
Well, it's basically just what they said it all. Just get involved. Really try new things. Like, don't be afraid to really go for whatever it is that you like. Like, have confidence. Whatever it is you do, have confidence and really just try to achieve it, like, to the max potential that you can.
Mm-hmm.
Great advice. Great advice.
Pure
great
and simple.
Advice. I love
Pure
it.
and simple.
And it's amazing how the time flies. Now, there's another book I want to share with you guys, because we are getting running out of time right now. We have about, 2 minutes left. 2 minutes left. And that is Think and Grow Rich. Don't you all want to be rich?
That's the American dream.
I don't think anyone does not want to be.
Of course.
So, have you heard of Napoleon Hill?
No.
Okay.
Probably not.
Get that book.
Educate yourselves.
Get that book and read Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, who was came up in the 1800s. He was born in 18-something. He wrote a book called Outwitting the Devil. And that book is a must as well, Outwitting the Devil, because he was a true visionary. And I consider myself a visionary too, of course. But he was a true visionary. He wrote this book called Outwitting the Devil in 1938, and the book was not released until 2011 because he felt he'd get repercussions of it, because he talked about the poor educational system that we have now and a lot of other things that keep people from becoming entrepreneurs and fulfilling their goals. And with that being said, I'd like to thank you ladies for coming in. Each one of you want to give just a quick final thought?
I don't know. I guess
Yes, thanks for having us.
There you go.
You are most
get
welcome.
involved, and
Yeah.
thank you for having, and connections. Networking was one of our biggest
Yeah,
things that
yeah.
we had, like, on our
So-
club. Like, that's what we're gonna push, and look where it got us.
Yeah.
Never knew I'd be on
For
radio.
networking with us.
Great advice.
Right.
Networking is key, and get involved. That's a key word you said. And with that being said, you have something here, and we're going to wrap it up.
Yeah, we're going to wrap it up. I
Yeah.
want to thank all three of you for coming on the show. And actually, I want to give all of you something probably in the next few days or so. It's an audio on leadership specifically. It's called Patton on Leadership from General George S. Patton, who was a leader from World War II. So it's something from the past, but it's still relevant today. So I can give all of you something to listen to. It's only a couple of hours long, and then you can go with that and do what you will. But we want to thank all three of you for being on the show, Aim to Purpose. And with that being said, the final thought goes to Louise.
Yes, and with that being said, I hope you all come out to some of my seminars and join us, because I'm going to be starting some up in the city of Downey. And join us on Facebook at Louise Hicks 51, and also on Twitter at Aim to Purpose, and Instagram at Aim to Purpose, and what's the other one? We're all over. So YouTube on Aim to Purpose Radio. Join us on all of them. And with that said, remember, your power lies within you. Let it loose.
That's
until
right.
next week.